Hey everybody, welcome to Happy Hour with me, Nick Boris, and this is our Defining Life podcast slash live video that we do every Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It is Holy Thursday for those of us Christians, and it is a different kind of Easter season for us. So we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end, about Easter traditions. If you're comfortable with it, comment and let me know how your Easter traditions are a little bit different this year, if they are at all. And maybe with some of the fun things that you typically do during Easter. I know ours is going to be considerably different. We usually have some big family gatherings, and we have been actually hosting dinner with my brother and his family and a couple of friends of ours, and it's going to be considerably smaller this time. So we'll be talking about that, all the good things we used to do when I was a kid for Easter, the kind of food we ate, all that good stuff. We're also going to talk about some goals and different things going on. Just casually talk about what we have going on right now in our lives. Today, like the 3 p.m. episodes in the past have been more like structured and more about a specific topic. We've been going real topic deep on the morning ones over on the Define My Day page. And so I'm lightening it up for Thursday. We're going to take it into a happy hour mode. If you didn't hear it last time, happy hour is kind of like what I used to do back in the old days with my other business. We used to pick a beer and give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, and have a thing we'd talk about. So I'm kind of doing that now with this, and just hanging out with you. So I have my today. So last week I did Crown Royal, which is sort of my go-to right now. This week I'm doing the Glenlivet 12 year. This is my other go-to. Scotch is something that I started drinking against my senses. It was something I started drinking when I was on the Atkins diet because there's no carbs. And so it's the one thing you can drink when you're on Atkins. And I developed a taste for it over time. Typically, I just go for the cheap stuff. I go for Dewar's, or the Glenlivet 12 is pretty good. If I'm really feeling fancy, I'll go for the Glenlivet 18, but rarely will I keep that in my house. And overall pretty stinking good. I have Dewar's. I just drink like the basic Dewar's, but there's Johnny Walker is one. I had the opportunity to taste the smallest sip of Johnny Walker Blue once in my life, and it's funny. It's like one of those drinks that when you hear how much it costs, you're like, yeah, I would never notice the difference, right? But I absolutely did notice the difference. It was so smooth. I would still never spend, at least not right now anyway, that amount of money on a bottle of booze. But it was an incredibly smooth drinking scotch. And someday I'll have it again. But definitely not, on my priority list of things to do, it's fairly low down on the bottom. But I can go for a glass of Glenlivet and just, I'm perfectly fine. I can sit here and sip this for an hour or two, let the ice cube melt, waters it down just enough for me. I'm good to go. This was actually a pretty big ice ball. I did it about 15 minutes ago, and it's pretty small at this point. Pam says, I thought most alcohol has no carbs. Vodka is my go-to, and that has zero carbs. A lot of vodka does not, but I'm pretty sure rum does because there's sugar in rum. So I guess if there's no sugars, like I think that some vodka, maybe potato vodka, might actually have carbs. I'm not certain. Don't hold me to that, but some actually does have carbs, and like a vodka. My wife loves Tito's and soda, and I'll drink it too. A great drink back when Tito's was a little bit more affordable. It's still pretty affordable, but it was cheap back a couple of years ago, right? But Tito's with club soda and lime, great drink. It's just easy to drink, right? Um, Even a Tito's martini is pretty good. So, but yeah, so that's how I got into Scotch. I just It was a no carb drink, but now I like it. I do like it a lot, and it's a nice just sip it and relax and just kind of you just kind of like things just melt away. Like if I was having when I was really stressed at work. Yes, we are having happy hour, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us. When I was really stressed at work, I had these beautiful rocks glasses. I got them at a golf event, and they were beautiful, etched in the glass, like the event that I played in, and there was like a golf ball at the bottom, like a glass golf ball design. Really beautiful glasses. They're both broken since then, but my wife knew that when I came out of the home office and came downstairs at whatever time I did, and I filled up a rocks glass, that like just let him go, let him go for a half an hour, and that was my way of unwinding. So yeah, yeah. All right, so let's as we get into it. I'm glad you were joining me. Thank you very much. As we get into it here, let's talk about our memes. I'm going to blow through these real quick. These are some of the funniest ones I saw this week, and I was saving them for today. They're not vulgar, so I got flack from somebody last week for drinking on the job for this. So I didn't want to get too vulgar with you. In fact, there's a Gary Vee video that I would love to share with you. I think it's great for everybody about like living the life you want without worrying about judgment from other people. He just posted it today, I think, on Instagram or maybe yesterday. But he drops the F bomb so many times. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings with that, so I'm not going to do that for you today. But check it out on Gary Vee's Instagram. It's a pretty good video. All right, so the first one, this is just apropos of what we're doing now, right? Top German doctor recommends whiskey to protect against COVID-19. Hey, so Scotch whiskey, it's all in the family, right? So I didn't read the article, but I like the headline. Um, the hills are closed. The hills are definitely not alive right now. Everybody should just go home. Really sucks that coronavirus hit during allergy season. I'm over here like I can't tell if I have 5 days to live or I just need to take a Claritin. I have been there and back a half a dozen times in 3 weeks. But I haven't left the house in over a week now, so I'm pretty sure I'm safe. And then this one, this is going to happen. The first time somebody sneezes in public, like the witch trials are beginning. If you have you're worried about this. If you have allergies, the way I have allergies, you are worried about this. And it hit me a little bit a couple of weeks ago. And every time I open the windows, I get a little sniffle, and I have to swallow and like cough and sneeze or whatever. And I'm still a little bit congested right now. And I loaded up on Sudafed. I bought a package or a couple packages of Sudafed, like just to the point where they didn't think I was making meth, just so I'd have it because I knew I'd be miserable. And allergy medication only just takes the edge off. I am still absolutely miserable, disgusting. And yeah, so this is this is where we're going to be very soon for a lot of people. Hi, Lori says, hi from stormy New Jersey. Yeah, we had storms like crazy the past couple of days. Usually I have Tito's and Club, my go-to. Sadly, I'm still working, so I won't be joining in a cocktail just yet. Hey, you can watch this video again in a little while and just pretend we're doing it together. I woke up at 4:30 this morning, so I definitely have my time in for the day. Pam says there are tons of memes with Chicago's mayor Lori Lightfoot that are hilarious if you live in the area as I do. I'll have to look. I've seen a couple of things like stories about her, but I haven't seen any memes. I'll have to look. So, if you're in this and you have a partner that's just getting on you a little bit, you might be able to relate to this, right? Day 7 of the quarantine, my wife took up gardening, but I won't tell, but won't tell what she's going to plant. And it's an empty burial plot for people that can't see it. So let me read that again. Day 7 of quarantine, my wife took up gardening, but won't tell me what she's going to plant. Well, it's you, pal. And then, of course, the next one for that one is after isolation. Where's your husband? In the garden. I don't see him. You just need to dig a little. Because we're all pulling each other's hair out or pulling our hair out, trying to deal with each other. My kids yesterday got a little testy. We had to put them back in line. And that's just where we are right now. I'm sure other people have it a lot worse. And there's this one with a big wave behind a guy building his sandcastle. The wave is COVID-19, and it's him, and he's saying and the sandcastle is labeled all the work I've put into being an adult, my career, and having a real life of my own. And here we go. Here comes the COVID-19 wave. And then this one, when I saw this, I kept coming home with groceries. Like, I bought a good amount of groceries back in February because I knew this was coming. Like, I saw the news stories, I saw what was going on. There were way too many bodies in the hallways of Chinese hospitals. I saw this coming. So I would slowly build up a stockpile in our garage of dry goods. And as time was going on, my wife is like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "You know what? If nothing happens, then we just start drawing down on this. But if it does happen, I want to be able to not leave the house for a month, right?" And so, the joke was, let me get out of the joke was that, like, I don't want to be in a situation where the dog starts to look appetizing, right? She's old. She's only got a couple of years left. She's probably a little tough. And, we kind of like her. So, I don't want to be in that position where I have to make a difficult choice. So I found this one pretty funny where they, in case things get bad, they have all the different types of meat labeled on the dog. Although on that size dog right there, that looks like a Maltese. I don't think you're getting a whole lot off of that one. That's like that might be a snack. And then, so given the holiday, we have our picture here of the Last Supper and how Jesus is now handling the Last Supper. It's all via Zoom. This one cracked me up. I like it. It's just, yeah, yeah. But there's only 7 on there. Where's all the rest of them? They just didn't get in yet. They didn't get into the room yet. And then this is Sunday Mass. The priest is just gonna just toss it. You have to be behind the line 6 feet away. So yeah. So I thought those were funny. I got a chuckle out of all of those. Yeah. I mean, if you can't laugh about it, what are you gonna do? Angel, super windy there in Michigan. Yeah, it's pretty windy here. We got spoiled too. The boys and I were hanging out in the afternoons. It's sunny. It's not warm, but warm enough. And we were hanging out in the backyard, reading. We try to read for like an hour in the back together, and it was really nice. And then today we wake up after whatever front went through, and it's windy and cold and damp. It's just back to like, ugh. And looking at the weather, it doesn't look like it's going to be any better. Sunday might actually not have rain. They were predicting rain, but now not. But all next week, not great. The closing day for when we close on our house is only going to be like 50 and rainy. And then it's not going to be very nice through the weekend. And I guess it's after that it's supposed to warm up. But you know what? But to be honest, place a caveat on here. They can't predict 3 days from now with great accuracy. So I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into what they say is going to happen in a week. But looking forward, we're trying to look at how we're going to handle the house. I'm sure the existing owners are clean people, just judging by the inside of this house. It's immaculate. But we're still going to be hyper paranoid. So, our plan is to not even walk into it, aside from doing the final walkthrough, not even walk into it. And then I will go there myself one day and open the windows when it's a nice day and let it air out. And then I'll go in and just sanitize as much as possible. And then we're not even going to hire movers. So we're going to just order new furniture in. And we've been like shopping as best we can remotely. Nobody's open. And we're just going to have furniture delivered, like the bare essentials, and just kind of go from there. And then once we feel comfortable that we can hire movers to move some of our bigger stuff, and we don't have much, we're not going to keep much. We're going to, just move what we can, but we'll probably just rent a U-Haul and move everything we can carry ourselves over the next couple of weeks. And that's just the way we got to do it, And then we talked about it this morning. the whole situation's not ideal. I mean, you expect to be able to invite people over and to see the house and family and friends and have a nice little like get together, and we can't do any of that. So it's a little odd, but we're dealing with it however we need to deal with it, and I mean it'll be fine, right? I mean, people are in much worse situations than we are. Um, Elizabeth says she did the same thing but was not on the list. Elizabeth TP. Um, Amy says, our son married a beautiful girl from Taiwan 7+ years ago, and we went to Taipei for one of their receptions. That is awesome. Alcohol flowed freely, and her dad and his friends drank scotch. They insisted on sending us home with our own bottles. Wow. One bottle of Johnny Walker Blue and two bottles of one guy's own private label. That's amazing. We are still working on them. Still not really scotch drinkers, but when the kids come to visit, we have a shot. It's just noon here in Arizona, but I may have to pull it out and share a toast with you. Hey, if you can share a Johnny Walker Blue with me, ching ching, let's go. That would I am really envious right now. Lori, definitely need to have some laughs right now. Like we need to lighten up any way we can. Like any space we can find right now. I need to like absolutely. I was talking about it the other morning. Lynn, I think it was yesterday morning. Lynn woke up in the middle of the night to me giggling in my sleep, and I didn't want to say it on the Define My Day side of things, but I was literally having a dream about me and like random people throughout my life, and a really good friend of mine who's now in Chicago, and just we were at a bar and just laughing and drinking and giggling, and then like I had there were a lot of people there, just like everybody from like throughout my life was there, and then like later on, I got to see like the security camera video of like me and just being like completely like goofy out of my mind, which never happens anymore. But just like it was like old me, but in college form. It was weird, right? But all the people like were all like all of us were like acting as if we acted when we were in our prime, but we were all currently like the ages we are now. So it was a weird situation, but it was just like a bunch of guys at a bar just goofing around, telling stories and jokes, and it was a fun time. And I was giggling in my sleep, and Lynn told me in the morning, she's like, "What were you dreaming about?" It's like I was giggling, and then it's funny because I woke myself up giggling today because we have a friend of the family. He's been a friend of our family. He's a priest, a Catholic priest, and he's been a friend of our family for, I mean, as long as I've been alive. He actually married my parents. He baptized me. He married my wife and I. He baptized our kids. Like he's been in our family for a long time. And I guess when he was a young priest at the local church, my grandfather invited him over for dinner, and he's just been a friend forever. And I don't want to share what happened in the dream, but it was really funny. It was about him like rescheduling mass. I guess I could share it. He rescheduled mass so that he could watch golf, and it was, and I just the fact like we were joking around about it in my grandmother's house. She doesn't even, she's my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, and this dream was like me and my cousins and my cousin's husband joking around about like that he canceled mass so he could watch golf, and it was like to me it was just hilarious, and yeah, I mean it was just I actually woke myself up giggling about this dream after it happened. So it's nice actually because I've had some really negative and almost scary dreams over the past couple of days, and it's been nice to have like some lighthearted ones now that I guess maybe it's just my brain going, okay, we're okay now. So let's have some fun. So it's been pretty nice. Amy, and since my daughter-in-law, here I can put this on the screen too, so you guys can read it. And since my daughter-in-law's family is still in Taiwan, she was ahead of this back in January and February, so I started purchasing like then you too, like you then too. They live in Redmond, Washington, 4 miles from Kirkland. Whoa. and they've been working from home for since the outbreak there. And she told me in early Feb to get ready. Yeah, and good. I mean, it's I was kind of just trying to read the tea leaves, and just like the math didn't add up. Like when you see people go into other countries and then they come back infected, the fact that it was happening that fast meant that it was much further along in my mind than people were saying. So yeah, that's kind of why I was going that way too. And like Luann comes into our house, Luann who works with us, and she comes into our house, and we would have that conversation every week. Like, at some point you're not going to be coming here anymore. We were trying to prepare for what that looked like. So it was even like Lynn was flying home to see her dad, who had a form of cancer in the past, and they were afraid it was coming back. So she wanted to fly home and see her parents, and she actually canceled her flight and drove back in February, I believe, just because we were so paranoid about it. And that's Long Island. So we were hyper paranoid about it. Anna, you made it. Good to see you. Thank you. Hi, Carrie. Just finished your Zoom meetings. Glad to be able to join us. Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. Thank you. Hey, Pamela. Good to see you. My Thursday is going well, and it seems like everybody else is going well so far. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. So I had this discussion. Yesterday. So I have like a telehealth thing that the local hospital system is doing for us now. And so I had a therapy session via remote call with my guy, right? And so he was talking about, how are things going? I know the house is coming up soon, right? We're going to be closing on the house, and I discussed like what our concerns were about, the current owners aren't moving out until next week, like right before our close date. So like hoping that nothing goes sideways with this thing, and that the movers don't cancel and that whole thing. Then he was asking about how we're handling it and how this whole situation is going for us, and it's been good. It's weird because, of course we're a little bit concerned about business and where the economy's going and that sort of thing. Although we've been holding strong for a while now. We have great people like you guys, so I appreciate you all. But, there's always a concern about the unknown. And we've been saying that, Lynn and I have been getting along very well. That, like looking forward to the house and the move has probably been very beneficial for us. And we've been furniture shopping online together, and that conversation is going much better than it went like 15 years ago. When we were moving into this place, we fought like crazy over every little thing. And so this has been a different experience, right? And so, it's been a very collaborative, partner focused, like a partner centric communication for Lynn and I. And so we were talking about that, and we're talking about like what we were doing as a family in the house, and the like me, with reading with the boys, and how dinners have been going, and how we can tell like the boys are getting a little short tempered with each other, but we're trying to do like family type things. Like the other night when I just basically said, okay, no electronics, we're going to sit here and we're going to stare at each other until we think of something to talk about, like that whole thing. And it turned into like a giggle session, right? It turned into Ryan being a goofball and my dad calling in on FaceTime and watching it, and my dad cracking up, and like it turned into this fun time. And so he says to me, are you going to, like, what are you going to take from this house to the new one? And my response was nothing. And he's like, well, there's got to be something. Like, there's got to be some good you take from this, right? And I said, no. Like, there is nothing. And what had occurred to me from this conversation with him, and it actually kind of made me get a little sentimental about this house, because we've experienced almost our entire married life in this house, and my kids have never known another place. But this house is my last toxic relationship that I am actively involved in right now. And that was my first thought. Like, once I thought this through, this house is a toxic relationship for me. And the reason is because when Lynn and I moved in, we weren't in a great place, right? And we were always at odds at what we wanted. This house was inexpensive, but it's what we could afford. And I saw it as a fixer-upper, and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. Like, she didn't want to have to do the work that we had to do. So I did work. I'm not the most handy. It never turned out well. And so, and we never really had the money to do the updates that we wanted to do. And we were just constantly like, it was just like, just never like a place of like walking in the house and feeling like, I love this place. We never had that feeling here, ever. We still don't. And especially as we got like in the past couple of years, our goal has been to get out. Like, we wanted to get our kids into a better school district, into a neighborhood where they could ride their bikes where there were other kids around, because we have none of that. We have a cut through street where everybody drives up and down the street twice the speed limit, if not faster, and the kids can't go out into the street. Our yard is hilly, so they can't play in the yard. It's just like, it's just not where we want to be, and we've known that. So what happens when you know that? I didn't invest anything into making updates on the house to make it look nicer. Anytime we thought about even like the dining room furniture, we've talked about that this week, right? Where somebody actually fell through a chair in our dining room. It was funny, but thankfully he had a couple of beers in him and it was just, he was limber. Um, but we never wanted to buy new furniture or update anything because we knew this wasn't our place. So it's not that it's in disrepair, it's just not the way we want it, because it was just like, it wasn't an investment. It wasn't an investment in our future. It was just an expense, and it was a wasted expense, right? And so that's the way we've constantly looked at this place. And now we happen to find, like, we were still kind of thinking that we were going to move into a place that was conducive for us to work out of, but might not be the place that's our forever home. And we just happen to find a place that is exactly what we want. Like, our goal for the past year, we talked about it this morning. Our goal for this year has been to get our kids in 2020. We are getting our kids into a neighborhood with a good school district, with a peer group that's going to push them to do better in school, where the house is open and bright, and a place where they can play in the street or play in the driveway and have other kids to play with. Like, that was the vision. Like, we saw this in our minds, and that is all we've been working for. And now, like, it's about to happen. Like, this is all that we've been working for, going, like, everything we've done has been about this move. And so, now it's about to happen. And even though it's not happening in exactly the way we want, under the circumstances we want, it is, it's there. We're happy with it. But so in looking at this house, this is the last toxic love-hate relationship that I am actively involved in. And, all of the things that I think about with this place, that's just like, it just never, things never worked out here. Never. I've put so much work, especially into like the landscaping, and it just turned into crap. I one year, maybe 10 years ago, our backyard is like a tiered backyard, and it's big, but crazy with the hill, right? And so I dug steps into the hillside so you could go up to the back where there's a big flat part. I dug it out, mulched it, planted bushes and trees and flowering trees, and like all sorts of flowering perennials, and I created a gigantic garden with corn and tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and watermelon and all this stuff, right? And then I fenced it in so the deer couldn't get to it. Not with like a permanent fence, but like a plastic like fence, right? A big tall one. And so I put work, like weeks of back breaking work into this. I don't know how much weight I lost, but it was a great workout program. But what I found were two things. Number one, no matter how, I built a fire pit out of like bricks that I got from somebody who was like worked for a public works department, and they were throwing the bricks away from the street. And so I got all these bricks and I built a fire pit. But no matter how nice it is, nobody wants to walk up the steps. Nobody wants to walk up a hill to go hang out someplace. That's number one. Number two, no matter how hard you try, you can't keep deer out of a garden. So I watered these plants. I got corn 6 feet tall. I have tomato plants with 100 tomatoes. I have peppers everywhere. I had this beautiful garden that was ready to be picked. My water bill was $300 a month. My grocery bill is hardly $300 a month, but my water bill growing my own vegetables was $300 a month. And one day I walked up there and everything was gone. The deer ran over the fence and ate everything. They ate all my corn. They ripped out my plants. They tore it to pieces. At that point in time, I lost it. I lost it. I actually don't walk up. I don't walk up there anymore. Aside from like picking up sticks and doing like the basic maintenance that I need to do, I won't walk up there anymore. Our fire pit has not been used in years. I can't bring myself to do it. So like all of this stuff, like this like all of it, like even like, and I was even thinking like, so as he asks me, what are you going to take from this house? Nothing is my first response. But the only thing I thought of looking around is that I would take some of the plants that I had high hopes for. So we have rose bushes that in the flat areas don't get sun, and the only sunny areas there are hillsides. So when you water them, the water runs off. They don't get enough water. So I have some rose bushes that I would like to bring and give them a fighting chance. And then I have 2 gooseberry bushes that, if you don't know what a gooseberry bush is, gooseberries are awesome. I grew up on them. My grandfather had a gigantic gooseberry bush in his backyard. And they're just these berries that they ripen in the middle of June. And we would eat them by, the handful from this bush. And my grandmother would make gooseberry pie. And so I've had like this nostalgic thing for gooseberries for years. And I found somebody selling them, I think on Amazon. So I bought these little twigs years ago and I planted them in the ground. And I have these 2 gooseberry bushes in my backyard. And my boys eat them in the summer now, in June time when they're ripe. And so I'm going to dig those up and bring those to the new house. I'll bring some rose bushes to the new house. But the one that I look at, I've been looking at it out my window right now, is this cherry tree. We have a Japanese flowering cherry that, again, I bought as a twig and planted into the ground 10 years ago. And it's now this 30-foot tree we have in our yard that's, I love looking at the flowers. Like it's a beautiful tree right now. But after the storm we had 2 nights ago, my cars are covered with flower petals and they're going to bake onto the paint unless I can keep washing them off. And I can't go to the car wash because they're not open. So, but yeah. So yeah. So my last toxic relationship, I'm leaving it here in a couple of weeks. And Lynn and I, like we're enjoying this. Like we've been shopping for furniture like daily, and we go online, we look at the interior photos of the house from the home inspector and the ones that were posted on the realty website. And then we look at, like, we love the way they even decorated the house. Like we're almost recreating a lot of what they did to decorate their furniture and everything. And it has like a rustic farmhouse feel, which we love. Even the back door has like it's one of those farmhouse style doors where it's like a half door. It's just so fun. And so we've been, going there and trying to like picture, what we want. And I found this other furniture store that's local in Pittsburgh, and I saved us like $1,000 on furniture today, just finding like equivalent stuff from this other place that apparently is still high quality. Everybody gives it great reviews. So we're just trying to shop around and do whatever we can do. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a really good time. And we're really excited for it. And we're excited for our kids too. And I'm excited for this. Like even this, my spaces are so tight in this house that doing like this kind of thing with the video camera is hard. So I'm looking forward to having some more open spaces with some more pleasing backgrounds. And, I'm like I have like there's so much potential. Like my head's exploding with it. And even for like employees to walk into it, just having a nicer place, where they can even have kind of like their own little work area. And it's sort of our, cut like 2 year goal is that we don't want to have to rent a commercial space because any commercial space would be more than a mortgage on a house and it would double our fixed costs, right? So we're just trying to get it so that we can have employees come into our home while not being in our home, and and just kind of like, but still so that they can feel comfortable and like so that they feel like they're not intruding on our lives. So it's going to work out and I'm really excited for it. So we're 1 week away. Crazy. It's flown by. I can't believe it's a VA loan, so it's like a 6 week process. It does not go fast. All right, I'm going to check out your comments real quick. Levi, nice looking cocktail. Happy Thursday afternoon. Happy Thursday afternoon to you too, Levi. Um, Man, do I totally understand that. I walk by the holes in the wall every day. The raccoons have officially moved in. Yeah, and if you haven't heard the story, Lynn was confronted by a raccoon yesterday. We have like a home sweet home type sign that leans up against the front porch, and it fell from the storm, and she went to go grab it, and when she pulled it, there was a raccoon on the wall, like climbing the house right behind her, and it scared the crap out of her. I wish I could have seen it, but it scared the crap out of her. And yeah, so yeah. Helen, you're late getting on, but hey, we're happy to have you. Thank you for coming. Stacy made it, and I've been in a meltdown today. That's not good. Grateful for something later. Well, I'm glad we could be here for you. Throwing in the towel for today. I don't blame you. I am too after this. Making pasta and then watch a movie later and may break out the Patron. Patron is good. Just got chewed out by a lot of people that I think just needed to lash out to anyone yesterday. Today I just reached. Today there needs to be chilling for me, and everything else can wait until tomorrow. I rarely ever drink, but Patron and Dr. Doolittle is looking great, like a great afternoon combo. Yes. So Dr. Doolittle is one I've been trying to sell my kids on all week, and they just are not interested. But I think we're gonna force it on them maybe tomorrow night. Uh, Laughing at the yeah. So yeah, deer. We have a herd of deer that run through our yard. It's just I don't even know why I try. I have no idea. The new house has a fenced-in backyard, so I'm hoping that helps. Um, Deborah. Yeah, so you enjoy the stories. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's crazy, 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 crazy stuff. I'm hoping to have more fun stories from the new places we go forward here. And the half door, like when we saw that, like Lynn was like, like it was like she fell in love the moment she saw that door. When we opened it up, I actually because she never walked through the house at first. She was in New York. This was 2 months ago. She was in New York visiting her father, and we did a walkthrough virtually so she could see the house. And when I opened that door, it was like angels were singing. She's like, "Oh my god, I love it!" So yeah, it was crazy. Um, but thank you for joining Happy Hour. I appreciate it. So yeah, so we're just all our stuff. But Stacy, as far as Patron goes, so I was trying to decide between today doing the Glenlivet or doing a margarita. So the only way I make margaritas is we have this. I don't even know what brand tequila it is, but somebody recommended it. But it's just tequila, lime juice, and simple syrup. I don't put anything else in it. And then I line the rim with tahine, and then I muddle jalapeno peppers in it or serrano peppers if I have them. It's phenomenal, and I can have a half of these, and it knocks me out. It's just like I'll drink one and then go straight to bed, and I have the best night's sleep ever. But we go to there's a place downtown. Like Pittsburgh lately in the past couple of years has become a culinary like ridiculous culinary scene, right? Which I hope it still is when this is all over. The food in Pittsburgh is ridiculous. And there's this place, a taco place, and they do like almost, I don't want to say gourmet tacos, but crafty tacos. And they have a high-end tequila bar. And we went in there, and my wife is big on Patron. And she's like, I'll have a Patron. And they're like, you don't want Patron. And she's like, well, yeah, I do. And they're like, no, you don't. And they're like, and she's like, well, what do you mean? Patron is like down here on their level. All of the other stuff they have is all the way up here. And we're like, okay, so we'll bite. What's going on? And so they do a flight of tequila shots. I think it might be 3, it could be 5. But they do a flight of tequila shots for a crazy amount of money. Like, this is, you go there for the experience, I'm guessing. You're not going to go there to have a drink on a Thursday evening. And so they give you all of these different types of tequila, and it's like, it's like you don't even understand what tequila is supposed to taste like until you have something else. It's like they're going from, like the bottom of the barrel scotch to what we talked about with Johnny Walker Blue, right? It's like you don't think you would notice a difference, but then you have it and then you're like, whoa, right? And so there's this one tequila that they had there that we loved. It's called Clase Azul. There's a bunch of different types that this company makes, but Clase Azul was the one we had. And it was so good. But then we went to the store to try to buy a bottle, and I think the bottle was like $120. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but we passed. And then we bought, I think, the one we have now, which I can't remember what it was. But it was the best shot of tequila that I've ever had. And so I mean, if you think Patron is good like we do, you try that, and then you're gonna go, whoa. And then it kind of ruins Patron, and then so that's kind of like why I don't want to take a step up. I don't want to step up because I don't want to not enjoy what I drink now. Stacy said, do you ever try garlic or deer repellent? I can't remember what we did when we had that problem. I think we bought some organic stinky stuff from Home Depot. Gooseberries mean abundance and prosperities. Now I want to try gooseberry pie. I haven't had gooseberry pie in probably it might be 30 years, at least 20. I would actually, my bushes aren't big enough yet to have enough berries to make gooseberry pie, but I would like to be there sometime too where I have it again. And venison is great, Anna. That's probably the comment of the day. I have had that thought many times. I've thought, you know what? If I got a crossbow, I could solve this problem. I've never hunted. I've never killed an animal like that in my life, but I've thought about it. So the organic repellent, my neighbor has sprayed his tulips and stuff with some sort of repellent, but it smelled so bad. I actually think that's a situation where the cure was worse than the disease. He stunk up the neighborhood for a couple of days. I have no idea what was in there, but it involved a lot of rotten stuff. So yeah, I've not tried to buy anything on the commercial side of things, and it didn't even occur to me when I planted this garden. But once that happened, I gave up. I mentally, something broke in my mind. I couldn't do it. So Elizabeth, the place is called Taco. It's downtown. Tako, like the octopus in Japanese, and so their signature taco is an octopus taco. I didn't quite care for it, but they had other tacos that were really good. But they literally have 100 different types of tequila. It was amazing, amazing. It's funny because we couldn't get a reservation within a week, so Lynn and I just went down there and thought, let's just see if we can get a seat at the bar, and if not, we'll walk somewhere else. And we walked in, and as soon as we walked in, a couple got up, and we sat right down. We're like, oh my God. It's like one of those situations where you go, this was just made to be. And the entire night was that good. It was like one of those nights where it just got better and better until we got home, right? Amy says, OMG, we have that tequila too after doing a similar tasting. That's funny. Try it with a bite of key lime pie and then sip the Clase Azul. They may have a smaller bottle, $75 maybe. That's funny. How about that? Like this, I'm telling you, if anybody on here is a tequila person, that stuff is liquid gold. It's so good. Um, it's not illegal to shine. Wait, it's not illegal to shine the eating your crops in Georgia. I think that maybe you're typing on your phone. And I'm going to take a stab at that and say it's not illegal to shoot if they're eating your crops in Georgia. I think that's what you're saying. Um, and so I have another story for you. My aunt, who sometimes is on these, my Aunt Joanne, is in Georgia now. She's from Pittsburgh, moved to Georgia. Her and her husband have a small farm. I guess it's a farm in Georgia. When my grandmother was dying from cancer, I went down to visit. And um, I walked into her house, and her house, she is a proud redneck. Let me say this. She is a proud redneck. And on her door in the house, or above her, next to her door, whatever, is a sign that says, "We don't call the cops," with like a six shooter, right? And in her house, I swear, in every corner, on every countertop, was a gun, a shotgun, a pistol, a rifle. And then they had a safe in the basement with an elephant gun, an AR-15, they probably had an AK-47. They've literally, if they have 150 guns in this house, I would not be shocked. I've never seen anything like it in my life. But I could see, if that is how Georgia is, that everybody can feel free to take care of their own deer problem. So yeah, it was an experience, but it was actually also kind of fun because we would do target practice off their deck, so it was fun. But so Amy, you bought the tequila for your husband's birthday gift. That's a great gift. Definitely a great gift. Um, Anna, you're. I think you're still. I think maybe are you? Did you start before we did today with the happy hour? Your typing is off today, Anna. Yeah. So we. I'm sorry, I'm sniffling. My allergies. Seriously, don't start the Salem witch trials on me. So, um, we. Yeah, I don't even know what my thought was. I'm all screwed up, Anna. You got me all laughing in my head now because your typos. But yes. Oh, the gift, the birthday gift. So we have we going through our liquor cabinet and cleaning it out and packing it up to go to the new place. We left a couple of bottles behind, like my Glenlivet. But I forgot how many for my birthday, my 40th birthday. I got a lot of really good bottles of scotch and whiskey, and we haven't even opened them yet. So, we have a good starter set when we go into the new place, that I'm looking forward to tasting them. Especially if we can be social again with somebody. But I will be digging into them, hopefully with you guys on a happy hour sometime soon. I'm looking forward to it. The one thing I can't drink is not whiskey, but what's the other one? Um, oh my goodness, there's something that a buddy of mine. He knew I liked scotch, and he bought me an expensive glass of something at the bar, and I can't remember what it is, but I tasted it, and it was awful. It's awful. I don't like. There's a certain type of whiskey that I just don't like. It just hits me wrong. Like, it's just awful. And I sat talking to him for an hour and a half. Just I couldn't do it. I was choking down this glass, and I mean, it wasn't like a huge glass of booze either. It was so hard to drink, and even now, like, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I can't even like relive the experience. It was that harsh, but it was an expensive glass of whiskey. It's just not what I could handle. But it was so bad. I was trying to be so polite, and I feel like I probably wasn't doing a good job. So yeah. Um, Anna, no, just got up, no glasses yet. I am laughing. So yeah, it's Thursday. It's been a long week, right? And for tomorrow, I'm not going to be here tomorrow because I'm not going to do the 10 o'clock tomorrow because traditionally I take Good Friday off. And through talking about it with my wife, we decided that we are not going to work Good Friday. We'll pack whatever orders there are, but we're not going to work on Good Friday. And this like kind of like the traditions that we have now. Like we're my cousins and I were talking about it on Facebook. Like tomorrow is the day that everybody gets together. So I have a big Arabic side to my family. My grandmother's Arabic, 100% Lebanese, but she's Maronite Catholic, which is like this small sect of Catholics that like lived in the mountains in Lebanon, where like they were doing their own Catholic thing, and then when the Romans came back through Lebanon, they like pledged their allegiance to the Roman Catholic Church, even though they kind of had their own traditions, right? But I mean, we're Roman Catholic, but my grandmother's traditionally, like the family traditionally, is Maronite Catholic, and but so we have this big Lebanese dinner on Good Friday, where they make this like if anybody's ever had kibbe, it's like a meat that you can. There's a lot of spices and bulgur wheat and meat, usually lamb traditionally, although now they use regular cow's meat, and you can eat it raw, which I'm a little wary of these days. But I grew up on it raw, baked in a pan like a sheet, fried in a ball with like meat, like lamb meat inside of it with pine nuts. It's really good. My wife even likes it. My wife's 100% Italian. But so on Friday, like there's all of these, like we would do eggs and potatoes, and then they do the kibbe with only the grains and spices, no meat, and all of this other stuff and desserts and everything. And my grandmother used to host it, or it was down the street because everybody in my family lived on the same street. It would be down the street at my aunt's house, my uncle's house, and the whole family, like all the distant cousins, would come over. There would literally be 100 people, and it would just be this gigantic Good Friday party, right? And so my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, and people are getting older. And my aunt, my dad's sister, started hosting it at her daughter's house. And so the past couple of years, we've been going to her house and having this party, and she's been inviting her family. And it's been just like everybody gets around and they laugh about stupid stuff. They tell stupid stories and stupid jokes, and everybody just gets together for like one time a year, and they get together and just have these, like they eat and they drink a little bit, but they eat and they just tell really dumb stories and jokes. And back in the old days, we used to play poker, and like my grandmother loved to play poker, and we would just have this great time. And now, like the realization that it's not happening, like we know consciously it's not happening, but now today I started to feel it. Like at 3 o'clock tomorrow, I would be going to this thing, right? And now it's just not happening. So I messaged on Facebook. I'm like, are you going to do a drive-through service? like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we already know what we're going to do, but it's not going to be nearly the same thing. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be real hard. And then Sunday, when I grew up, the Italian side of my family would do stuffed manicotti. We do chicken cutlets. We do wedding soup. Like my uncle, my great uncle, my grandfather's brother would do this whole thing at his house. And my uncle, my dad's brother, or my mom's brother, I'm sorry, my mom's brother, he would always try to start this competition. How many bowls of soup can you eat? How many chicken cutlets can you eat? How many manicotti can you eat? And he's not a big guy, but like this is like his one thing. Like he could just crush pounds of food on Easter. And so, there's like all these stupid little memories you have, right? And then when my uncle passed away, and we stopped having that tradition, but we would still go to my grandmother's house. and we would do the Lebanese food and the stuffed cabbage and all the stuff we would do there. And I think she even had ham. And then when she passed away and we stopped doing that, we started hosting it at my house. And so the past couple of years, my brother and his family would come over, and I last year really messed up the chicken cutlets. Maybe I'll tell that story on Sunday morning. Um, but my brother would come over with his family, and our friends. We have a couple friend of ours that live nearby, and they would bring their kids over and hang out. And we had just a nice, like a little tradition beginning here ourselves. And we've only been doing it a couple of years, but now that like we're just gonna be, it's gonna be a lot different. It's gonna be the four of us. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I mean, we're still gonna enjoy it. In fact, we might even overcompensate with the enjoyment of it. But it's definitely going to be different this year. So, I think just trying to manage that and wade through it is going to be an interesting time. So, and I know a lot of people are going through that where, you know, you might be used to a big family gathering and going to church and, hunting for Easter eggs, even Easter baskets. Like, it's not like we could go shopping for that right now, right? I mean, like, so we ordered what we could online, but that's all we can do, right? So it's it's different. It's different. Stacy says, ROFLOL. Yes, it was beyond horrible smelling deer repellent. Yes. I may have to try the tequila. Sounds amazing. I don't make full-on margaritas often. I use lime, stevia to save calories. That's a good idea. And I still have to get my liquid treat. My husband surprised me with a bottle of Patron for getting through the 2 dumpsters of stuff clearing out the home office. That's a nice reward. I'd be telling him how I can never come up with something I get to enjoy today for your planner. Oh, wait, I read that wrong. I'd be telling him how I can never come up with something I get to enjoy today in your planner. So he bought that for me. So he said every now and then you can put that on your schedule. That's an awesome surprise. I agree. And very often, like what I get to enjoy after a stressful day has been like a beer, right? I get to enjoy a nice IPA. Today, I get to enjoy happy hour. Like now, a lot of times what I get to enjoy is a bargain. Like if I don't do my work, I don't get to enjoy it. But today, because this is work, I got to enjoy it no matter what. I did do my work though. Lori, the only time I drank Jameson, it was not good. I stayed away from any kind of scotch or whiskey ever since. Yeah, I don't think I like Jameson. I don't think I do. Carrie says, sounds wonderful. I hope you have learned how to cook those Lebanese foods to pass to the next generation. What a special thing. Okay. I have the cookbooks. I have one of my grandmother's original cookbooks. I have cookbooks that I've purchased at a Lebanese food festival that we go to every year. I have made it in the past, but I'm not good enough. My aunt does a very good job. So, and she's even mentioned, I think at the last holiday, I think it was Christmas this past year, she mentioned that she would teach me. And I probably need to be very intentional about learning that because time is going to go past and go by. And my kids love the food, but I have no experience making stuffed grape leaves or any of the other food with, enough regularity that I could say I could do it well without any input. So I do need to do a better job at that, Carrie. And that's probably something that like is going to have to go into that'll be a thing that goes into my planner. And like this month, I'm going to learn how to cook Lebanese food the right way. Right. And I'm going to go to my aunt. I'm going to schedule a time with her and say, look, let's make dinner. Right. And we'll have people over for dinner, whether it's at my house or her house or whatever, and do this in a way that teaches me how to do it. And we all get to have a good time. That's going to be that's going to be here. It might be 6 months away, but that's going to be in here. That's going to be in my book. That's going to be a monthly goal, and that's going to be a milestone and a daily priority. It's going to happen. Starting or adding new traditions. Absolutely. Carrie says, my church has decided that the first Sunday we are back worshiping in person. We're having a traditional big Easter service. Your family could recreate your Good Friday gathering like that too. Yeah, that's a good idea. So that's probably something that I need to bring up and say, look, it didn't happen. We don't even do family reunions anymore. That's basically the equivalent of a family reunion for us. Maybe we need to do that, right? It could happen in August for all I care. Which we actually, Lynn and I were talking about our new house, right? It's got a nice big flat backyard and a nice party area. And so like we are like as soon as everybody's get the all clear and nobody's afraid to be around anybody anymore, we are going to have the biggest party possible. Like it can be potluck, but we are going to smoke a gigantic piece of meat and we're going to have a great time and we're going to play music and we'll invite all the new neighbors like, hey, we're in the neighborhood, let's have a good time. And please don't hate us if we're loud today. But just like oh my good, like we've been apart for so long through all of these holidays and everything else going on. I mean, we literally have Good Friday, which is a big day for us, Easter, which is a big day for us, my wife's birthday, my son's birthday, my birthday, 4th of July is probably still going to be a little bit iffy. There's a lot of things we're going to be missing. We're going to have to like just pack them all into one day and just have a good time, right? I mean, why not? Yeah, I love it too. I agree. So the Angel says the governor of Michigan posted a video for kids about Easter Bunny this year to let them know that the bunny can still come, but the supplies are different this year, so baskets might be different. That occurred to me too, and I think there's going to have to be a note that kind of references that. Lori says I did start teaching my youngest son making pierogies. I needed to pass the torch. Yeah, yes, and that's something my wife. She never learned. My mother-in-law is an amazing Italian cook. I mean, she cooks like ridiculous. Not like my family cooks. Like my family cooks for quantity. She cooks for quality, right? So from my point of view, she never makes enough. Like my family was not happy unless you were like on the verge of a coronary after dinner, right? Like it's eat, manja, 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 right? That's just stop. There's too much food. I can't handle it. And then you have a million leftovers, right? At the end of the night. And then you're just eating lasagna for like 3 days straight. My mother-in-law, like there's almost never any leftovers, which to me was like, it's great food and there's never enough. I don't want to have to ration this. But so the one thing that she makes is these rice balls, the arancini, right? We talked about them a while back. And I've never even had them before I had hers. And they are amazing. It's like almost like a little bit of like scrambled egg or something inside of it. And it's just rice in a ball and then pan fried. But they are amazing. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think the last time Lynn was home to visit her father, her mom taught her how to make these. Now, it is my fault for not following up on that and requesting / demanding that she practice. And now, I'm not sure we have all the supplies we need. So that's a conversation I'm going to need to have tonight. I'm going to have to go back to Lynn and ask her what's going on there. Because if she learned a new skill, shouldn't she be practicing? And shouldn't I be involved in that practicing? At least taste testing to make sure she's doing it to the quality standards that are set for our previous generations. I'm going to have that conversation. We're going to have to talk about that very shortly. Carrie says, you made me laugh. A big flat backyard. No one has to climb the stairs to the backyard to party. Yes. That's like a requirement. We are going to party and nobody has to exercise to do it. Oh, yeah, right? And yeah, Carrie, you cook for an army. Lots of leftovers. Lynn always laughs at me because like even for Easter, like the chicken cutlets I make, I prepare. I tried to last year anyway. I'll tell you that story on Sunday. I tried to prepare like so that everybody could take home leftovers. And like I want leftovers. I want to eat Sunday. I want to eat Easter Sunday dinner through Wednesday. Like I want to relive the experience. I want to go to the freezer or go to the fridge at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday and grab a chicken cutlet. You know, and Lynn doesn't get that. Lynn doesn't understand it. Like she hates it when I overcook like that. But I don't. I love leftovers. I love leftovers. I love it. Lori, I cook so much differently for myself than when my sons were home. Now, when I go to visit them, they always want me to cook. Yeah, right? And it's funny, even the things that I used to hate when I was a kid, like I ate meatloaf a lot when I was a kid, and I hated it every time. I hated meatloaf. But now, it's like one of those foods that it's on my list. Like when this is all over and I can go out and buy some ground meat, I am going to make myself a dang meatloaf. There's other things like that too, like stuffed cabbage. I hated stuffed cabbage when I was a kid. I love stuffed cabbage now. Lentils and rice is an Arabic dish that I hated when I was a kid. I love it now. I grew into all different like sorts of things that now like I wish I took advantage of it when everybody was still making it like the traditional way. Now they're all gone. And I didn't, you know, it's never quite the same. No demanding, requesting nicely. I don't know. It's one of those things where if I request nicely, I might, she might be disinclined to acquiesce to my request. It's a line from Pirates of the Caribbean. If you've not heard that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to have a conversation. It might have to be a request and then a demand. Like we'll have to see, or maybe a negotiation. If you do this, I'll do this. Maybe I have to like clean the bathrooms for a couple of weeks straight or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we have to work on our stuff here, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, oh boy. So yeah, like my 20-pound ham. So that's actually new for me. I've never made a ham before. So I have a 20-pound ham because it was cheap. Like it was $1.29 at the store. So for like $25, I have this gigantic ham, and it's been sitting in our fridge. And that's actually pissing her off because it's taking up a lot of room. But so yeah, that's gonna be a lot of leftovers, and it'll go into the freezer too. But so she's upset about the size of it, but she's already planning out ham and eggs the next morning. Like she has all of these, like she can't wait for a ham sandwich. She can't wait for ham and eggs. Like so she already like she's like, oh, it's too big, but it'll work out okay for me too. Like it's like that. Like I want to be upset about it, but I really can't be because I'm going to enjoy all of it. So yeah, we're in a decent place with that for sure. What do you guys do? Like before I wrap it up here, like what do you guys do for Easter? Like what's your thing? You know? Like do you guys do like so is it ham? I think my on the Lebanese side, my grandmother did make ham, but it wasn't my favorite. I was always going for the kibbeh and the Lebanese food. On the Italian side, there was no ham. It was manicotti, chicken cutlets, and soup were the three big things. There was probably other things there too, but those are the three things that I went after. But what do you guys make? What's your big thing for Easter? While you're answering it, I want to talk about the last thing that I saw on Facebook today that I am all about because I'm a car guy. I like there's a thing going around today where everybody lists all of the cars they've had over their lifetime along with a photo representation of that car. And so I went through and had to list all of the cars that I've had since I was 16. And the first car I ever had was a 1986 Camaro. It wasn't the Z28. It wasn't even the RS. It didn't even have any of the cool ground effects. It was a piece of stuff Camaro. It had rust on the doors, had a V6 engine and a manual transmission. It was slow, it was loud, it was ugly, but it was the first car that I bought with my Burger King money. And a couple of months into it, the clutch died, and my dad had to pay for that. And then I had to pay him back. But I love that car. I love that piece of crap car. It was a garbage car, but I loved it. And then when I went into the military, I bought an 89 Camaro RS, which was like at that point my dream car, on Guam. So I had the only Camaro on Guam. And that thing had a terrible exhaust. It was loud as heck. It sounded mean, but it was a V6 and it was not fast. T-tops that leaked like crazy. So like these cars, like I'm going through the list of cars that we've had. I had like an 87 Honda Accord. It was garbage. But all these cars that we've had, and like when Lynn and I got married, we were sharing a 1987 Honda Accord. Oh my gosh, it was awful, awful. When it started, it was awful. When it wasn't starting, it was worse. It was an awful car. We graduated to like a 97 Civic. It was like a 15-year-old car for us, but it was actually reliable. And we ended up getting rid of it because Lynn, on her way to work with a new baby, like Lynn was on her way to work in the wintertime with a new baby, a 6-month-old baby, and the brakes went out going down a hill. And she had to go off to the side of the road and get into a flat part and coast to a stop. She never drove that car again. I would never let her drive it again. And we traded it in on a Ford. Yeah, I mean, we've had some disaster cars. But if I were going through all the cars that I've had that I no longer have, I would in a heartbeat buy a late 80s or early 90s Camaro. IROC Z or a Z28, I don't know. But that to me, when I was a kid, was the car. I mean, that is the car that I wanted. And the piece of crap Camaro just shared the same DNA. Didn't look anything like the cool ones with the ground effects and the engine. But it was close enough. And I loved it. And if I were to buy any car right now, from a nostalgia standpoint, it would be like in a late 80s, early 90s Z28, something like that. And they're not fast. They don't perform well. They're from a quality standpoint, garbage. But that's just the car of my dreams from when I was a kid, And so I was funny because after I thought about that, I looked online to see how much they're going for. With 70,000 miles, they're going for $20,000. They didn't cost that much when they were made. I bought mine for $2,300, right? And mine was what was it, 8 years old at the time? There's no way I would spend $20,000 on a Camaro, on a 92 Camaro. Not a chance. Not a chance. I mean, maybe if I had the money to burn, but there's so many nicer cars. You can buy a 2010 BMW M5, a literal supercar, for the same amount of money as you can buy a 92 Camaro. Yeah, I don't see the parallel there. I would go for the BMW, I think. But I would get shot for buying both. So, or either. So I won't be doing that, but yeah. But yeah, I do love those old Camaros. Buy her, yeah. So that's what I'll do. That's how I'll get her to make the rice balls. I'll buy her the Clase Azul tequila, and then I'll have to sip some of it. We'll do what my friends did when they went to my grandparents' house. My grandparents had a wet bar in their basement, and my friends would go over and pour some for themselves and then put water into the bottle. Yeah, I was so stressed out about that. But that's what I'll do is I'll buy her a bottle of Clase Azul tequila, pour out some for myself periodically, and then just keep filling it with water. Carrie says, our Easter is church and then a big family gathering, typically ham. We have a huge Easter egg hunt. Yeah, we used to do that too. That's so fun. The kids, like just watching them run around and, oh, God. One for the kids in the backyard, a second one for the adults with money in the plastic eggs. It was quite a fun day. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so the ones for the kids actually had money in them in my family. My family bet on everything. Like my dad's side gambles every time they get together. They play poker. They play now for Christmas this year. We got, or maybe it was New Year's. We got together for just to try to start it up again. And they play. Has anybody ever played LCR or left, right, center? It's just a tube of chips with dice that have LCR or a dot on them, and you roll the dice, and you each start with 3 chips. And if you roll a left, you pass your chip to the left. If you roll an R, you pass your chip to the right. And if you roll a C, you put your chip in the middle. If you lose all your chips, you wait for somebody. What is it? Somebody has to have like the last chip, right? There's only when one person has the last chip, they win. You're never out of the game because somebody can always pass you another chip if it's left or right. If you roll a dot, you don't have to do anything. So you keep what you have. And you only roll as many dice as you have chips. Well, in my family, we don't use chips. We use dollar bills. So in my dad's side of the family, we gamble. We play poker and all different types of poker. Or we'd play LCR, or like the adults would always bet on basketball or whatever. But yeah, so that's, and Easter eggs always had money in them. Angel, we do ham, potato salad, and Swedish meatballs with lingon. I don't know what that is. Usually, my husband is from Sweden. Very cool. We can't do the meatballs this year because we can't get the right supplies. We also can't find lingon since IKEA is closed. What is lingon? I've never heard of that before. Amy usually does ham, deviled eggs. Deviled eggs. That's another thing I forgot. We usually do deviled eggs tomorrow too. Oh man. Usually ham and deviled eggs. This year we're going with chicken and dressing, mashed potatoes, green beans, and deviled eggs. Very southern. Very good though. Sounds delicious. Helen used to cook like a nut and then have about 35 to 40 people over for an egg hunt. Awesome. 18 nieces and nephews. That's awesome. Polish sausage, ham, pork roast, and a whole list of sides. Now that the kids are all grown up, they go out for brunch at a small area restaurant. Last year there were 42. That's still a pretty big crowd. Carrie, I love your husband already. Carrie's husband had 2 Camaros. The first one we were in high school, and the second one when he was in his 20s. I keep telling him we should try to find one of his old cars. It would be an adventure. Yeah, mine were never the classic kind. Mine are both probably in a junkyard by now. But I just, just to have one of those again, I know it would be so fun, right? One of my favorite cars ever is a 1969 Camaro RS with like the headlights, the hideaway headlights. Oh God, I would love one of those. If I ever make it, I told Lynn, like, she's gonna have to like bear with me. I would have a garage, or I would have a house where the garage was bigger than the actual house. Like, I want Jay Leno's garage. Like it's like cars are not a status thing for me so much as it is, I just love driving cars. I love it. Like I just in the nuance, like the differences between all the cars. I would have an absolute blast driving around one of those old Camaros, like a late 80s Camaro, early 90s Camaro. I would have a blast with the T-tops off, radio blasting with the speakers popping because the stereos were terrible. And like those things had 0 horsepower. Even the Z28s had like no horsepower. But I just love the car. I love the way it looked. It looked like a stock car, like a race car. I just loved it. Helen, yeah, you know LCR. It is a fun game, absolutely. It's fun when everybody's yelling at each other too because they're trying to win the game. This year, my husband is getting a beef roast dinner from Texas Roadhouse. Yes. Oh boy. We grew up having a big French family ham dinner. I can't digest pork anymore, and my husband doesn't even want to watch meal prep or clean up, let alone helping with it. So big holidays, he usually takes us to a buffet and we can get all we want, all that we like best. Take out this year, and then we all watch a movie together. That's pretty cool. I get it. I really get it. And that's kind of why we like potluck dinners where we make like the primary thing. Like I don't like prepping things, and again, I'll tell you about my chicken experience from last Easter on Sunday. But I don't like prepping a big meal because the coordination stresses me out. And then everybody's eating, and I'm still stressed out, and then it's all over, and everybody's gone, and I'm like, what happened, right? So we've changed it to where like we do a potluck where everybody brings a side or a dessert or whatever, and I just make the main thing. And especially if it's on the smoker, doesn't require a ton of work, just a little bit of maintenance. So I'll smoke a 20-pound pork butt and make pulled pork sandwiches, or I'll smoke a 20-pound brisket, and then all you have to do is slice it, and then it's done. Like you just serve sandwiches or whatever. That's the way I like to do it. So Stacy, I understand what your husband's talking about. Bills are used there as well. Yeah, Helen. Yeah, you gotta throw a little bit of money in there, right? The original game, Carrie says, was played with dollar bills. You played that way years ago. So did we. I don't remember the chips as a kid or like whenever we started doing it. But then the game, I guess maybe they had to tone it down so they could sell it in the store, right? Oh, Anna, you had the pace car from '69. Oh, so that uncle that used to always have the competition of eating the the cutlets and the manicotti at Easter, right? He still has one. I believe he still has it in his garage. He has a '69 uh, Camaro Z28 with the RS package. It's in his garage. He's a car guy. He owns a car business, right? And so it's been sitting in his garage for as long as I've known him. I mean, from me being a kid, it's in his garage. He's it's always been like that restoration project he's never got around to. It's I believe if I remember correctly, it's either blue or red, and I can't remember why I can't remember. But I believe it's red, like with a the red flake paint with I believe white racing stripes. I might be making that detail up, but it is a Z28 with a DZ302 engine. Like that whole like that is my car. That's my car. But yeah, it's so cool. Those cars are so cool. Oh man! All right, we are an hour, almost an hour and a half into it. I'm gonna get going. I hear my wife downstairs starting to pull out things to start prepping dinner, so I'm gonna give her a hand and maybe hang out with the kids for a little bit. I hope everybody has an awesome day tomorrow. I'm sorry I'm gonna miss you in the morning tomorrow, but I will catch you on Saturday and Sunday this week. Maybe tell a couple Easter stories Sunday morning. But I hope you all have a great day tomorrow. Have a great beginning to your weekend, um, and yeah, have a safe holiday. I hope you all are really healthy. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for having a good time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.